All right, let's get right into it. If you're on the hunt for a cheap virtual private server, a VPS, you know the market is just completely flooded with options. So how do you find the absolute best bang for your buck? Well, today we're going to break down 3 of the biggest names in the budget space, Hostinger, Contabo, and Hetzner, to figure out who really comes out on top. You know, when you put Hostinger up against the usual suspects like GoDaddy or Bluehost, it's not even a contest. The source material calls it an absolute superstar, just completely demolishing them on price and performance. And when you see what they're offering, you'll understand why. So for less than a cup of coffee, just under $5 a month, you're getting a virtual CPU, a solid 4 gigs of RAM, and 50 gigs of that super fast NVMe storage. I mean, on the surface, that looks like a killer deal. And honestly, for a lot of people, the search could probably just end right here. But, and there's always a but, right? This is where things get interesting. Is that $5 plan really the king of cheap VPS? The source points out that companies like GoDaddy and Bluehost are often called noob traps. They're not really competing. The real battle for the budget crown is happening somewhere else entirely. So let's bring in the real heavy hitters, 2 VPS specialists, Contabo and Hetzner. And believe me, when you put their plans side by side with Hostinger's, the whole picture changes a lot. Okay, just look at these numbers. For less money, Hetzner is giving you double the CPU cores. And for just $1 more, Contabo comes in with 3 times the CPU cores, double the RAM, and more storage. I mean, just looking at the raw specs, it looks like Hostinger is getting completely crushed. And then there's the fine print on Hostinger's awesome price. To get that $499 deal, you have to lock in for a long time. There's no paying month to month at that price. And here's the kicker, when it's time to renew, that price pretty much doubles. So that adds another wrinkle to this whole comparison. Which leads us to the big question, right? Is Hostinger just another one of these noob traps? Is it using a flashy intro price to reel you in, even though other companies are offering way more raw power for your money? Well, surprisingly, the answer is no, not really. And to see why, we have to look past the spec sheet. See, it's not always about the quantity of the stuff you get, it's about the quality and how you can actually use it. And this is where the story really starts to flip back in Hostinger's favor. So first off, let's be clear, the hardware itself is top-notch across the board. All 3 of these guys are using great stuff, like AMD EPYC CPUs and that speedy NVMe storage. A single core from Hostinger is going to perform pretty much the same as a single core from the others. So the difference isn't the quality of the parts, it's somewhere else. And boom, here it is. This is the secret sauce, the network speed. Hostinger gives you a constant, dedicated 1 gigabit per second connection. Contabo? They give you a variable speed that averages around 200 megabits per second. That is a gigantic difference. Now, Contabo's spec sheet might show this massive 34 terabytes of bandwidth, which sounds amazing, but it's a bit misleading. Their speed isn't guaranteed. It's really meant for short little bursts. If you use it too much, they can actually slow you down or throttle you to just 100 megabits. Hostinger speed, though, it's a solid 1 gigabit all the time, no questions asked. Okay, so what does all this tech talk actually mean for you? In the real world, let's imagine you need to transfer a big file, say a 4 terabyte server backup. How long is that actually going to take on these different platforms? On Hostinger, with its steady 1 gigabit connection, that huge 4 terabyte transfer would take about 9 hours. I mean, that's not bad at all for that much data. You can start it in the morning and it's done by the end of the day. Now, what about Contabo? Well, with their average 200 megabit speed, that same file would take, wait for it, 89 hours. That's almost 4 full days. And here's the most important part. All the extra CPU cores and RAM in the world won't make that go any faster. If your project needs network speed, Hostinger is in a completely different league. But it's not all about speed and feeds, right? There's another huge piece to this puzzle, the actual user experience. The numbers don't tell you what it's like to use the service, and this is where Hostinger has really carved out a special place for itself. I mean, think about what Hostinger gives you right out of the gate. You want a Minecraft server? You can get it with a game panel pre-installed. Need a control panel like cPanel? It's just a few clicks. The whole user interface is clean, it's modern, it's just plain easier to use. They even throw in a free AI assistant to help you out with commands. It's pretty cool. So what this really all means is that Hostinger isn't just dumping a blank server on you and saying good luck. It's created this perfect middle ground. It's still an unmanaged server, sure, but it has all these quality of life features that make it feel almost like a managed solution. It's perfect for someone who isn't a total command line wizard. So, after all that, what's the final call? Who should you actually buy from? Well, the source makes it really clear that there's no single best provider for everyone. It's all about picking the right tool for the job you need to do. And here's the simple breakdown. If you're running heavy-duty stuff like Docker that just eats up CPU power, you can't beat Contabo's raw power for the price. If you're running a game server, a Discord bot, or streaming media, where network speed and simplicity are everything, Hostinger is an awesome choice. And if you just need something cheap and super stable for the long haul, like an email server, Hetzner is a fantastic, reliable option. So in the end, the best VPS really truly depends on your specific project. If you're trying to get the absolute most processing power for every single penny, yeah, there are better options than Hostinger. But if you value a great user experience and a seriously fast network, that small premium you pay is absolutely worth it. And that brings us right back to where we started. The one piece of advice that everyone can agree on? The source is crystal clear. Stay away from those noob trap providers we talked about at the beginning. The real value is with specialists like Hostinger, Contabo, and Hetzner. So now the only question left is, which tool is the right one for your next project?